Hello, WW community. Throughout our time here at Western, students are constantly reminded to take care of their mental health and well-being. But sometimes, it's difficult for us to learn where to get support in those areas. While looking at one of the many resources on campus, we here at Wavelength wanted to get an insider scoop on an option called the Outdoor Wellness Program. 2 members working with the program allowed us to get an exclusive interview to learn more about what they do and how students can use their services to improve their daily life.
First off, thank you guys for letting me interview you. Could you introduce yourselves?
I am Cheyenne Fonda. I am the teaching assistant of the Outdoor Wellness Program, and I'm also a student here at WW. So yeah, that's me. And I use she, her, they pronouns, like literally anything.
Awesome. My name is Ben Crandall. I use he, him, his pronouns. I am the program coordinator at the Outdoor Center, and I am also one of the founders of the Outdoor Wellness Program.
So what is the Outdoor Wellness Program?
In my mind, the Outdoor Wellness Program is a mental health resource for students on campus by students on campus. And so it's a program that pairs the mental health benefits of being outside in nature and being in the forests and being in green spaces and being outdoors with folks that are looking for services, wanting a buddy to get outside with, or want to go explore some different avenues for mental health. And so the goal of the program is to say, hey, let's redefine recreation. It doesn't have to be huge people on big mountains doing really hard things, and it's just getting outside and being with people. And so how can we create a new paradigm around what that looks like and connect it to mental health, and like get students outside and connected to each other?
I think it's really like a lot about what you said. It's for students, made by students, and it's just really universal. Like there's no set purpose that, for example, a mentee has to want to be involved. It can literally be any reason, and it's not this rigid, like you have to do this or you have to do this, and if you don't do this, then it's not considered recreation. Like it's just really unique and like moment by moment.
So what do you do in a typical session at the Outdoor Wellness Program?
So in a typical session, I'd say just like figuring out meeting times is really important. Like most of the time, the communication will be by text. And if that doesn't work out, then it'll be by email. But I'd say it would be a walk in the forest, or it could be even like watercoloring. I know at the start of it, like the mentor might be ask like, hey, what do you want to do today? What do you think that you need the most right now? And what would really help you to be grounded or to be present or to let stress out or anxiety or just kind of like sit with any depression I'm feeling for a minute. Like it's just really about what is happening in that moment.
What is a nature connection experience?
Oh man, one of the things I say that I would love before I even answer that question is a nature connecting experience can be really versatile, and it could be like this, just sitting here and like tuning into your senses of, okay, what am I hearing? What am I seeing? Like, am I tasting anything that's nature-based? It could be like as active as kayaking, or if you're going rock climbing, or if you're going hiking. Like there's also a lot of adaptability between how like present you are in nature. If you're doing mindfulness experiences, then you're really tapping into what are the benefits of nature that I can really use right now. And there's also like the opposite spectrum of this, where it's nature-based and there's no requirements of you have to do this for this experience to be nature-based. And you're really just using nature as an aid and like just as this something that's helping you ground. Like, okay, what are we going to do today? What do you want to do today? That's like the jumping off point.
As a program, we've developed kind of criteria for what that experience looks like. And so the first thing is that it's either a 20 to 30 minute session 3 times a week, or a 90 to 120 minute session 1 time a week. And so that's kind of the time minimums that we have for our sessions with our mentors and our mentees, that we see the benefits, the mental health benefits from this program. And then it's about being in a green space that's also sustainable. And so our definitions of green spaces it can be like urban parks, they can be manicured parks, they can be wilderness, they can be forest. but thinking that it's also accessible and close to campus. And so our opportunities are either on campus or really close. And so the idea is that this is sustainable for the mentee to actually go and experience these places after the program finishes up. Because the goal is that these things aren't just happening when they're in the program, but you're building these practices to be able to continue on after the program ends and keep going as a personal practice, and then bring your community and bring your friends into it. And so those are kind of like the 3 or 4 guidelines that we think of when we're crafting of like, hey, is this park, is Boulevard Park this, is Euclid Park this, is what different places we have.
How many people use this resource?
That's a really good question. I think the first year we had 10 students, and each student had 1 mentee, and then some students had 2 mentees. And I think this year there's 14 students.
14, 15, yeah.
Yeah.
14, 15.
So we've increased the class size a little bit, and then we have a waiting list for the mentees. And so I think over the 2 quarters that we have been offering like the mentor experience, which was spring of 2022, winter of 2023, spring of 2023, I think we've had around like 60 interested mentees. And so right now we have a waiting list, and we're putting students who reach out on that. And then when someone comes into the program and they decide, hey, I either want to change, or I am too busy this quarter, or I got what I needed and I want to move on, and then we bring one of those people in from the wait list.
I think there's a little bit more involvement this year just because of how the structure and just like how the nature of everything has kind of like shifted a little bit. For those on the wait list, like me as myself and then the program also, we try to make sure that they're included and they're not like these people that are, okay, you're on the wait list, so you get no part of this program whatsoever. We try and have it be more of a holistic experience, and I know like that experience definitely isn't perfect right now just because of how we're still developing, we're still changing, we're still growing, but it's a conscious effort that we still try and put into the program because it's not just about like the mentors or about recruitment, or it's really holistic just as a whole.
What are the most popular locations used for these sessions?
Ooh, there's a lot of those. The ARB, for one. I can't remember how many times I took my mentee there when I was a mentor, and then hearing about other folks' experiences. I know Fairhaven Marina, like just the waterfront, is really popular too. I know folks like to sit there and hammock and do cold plunges and journal, and they just use it for a lot of different reasons. I also know one mentor has been doing these paddling sessions and going out to Lakewood and like utilizing the resources and just having that avenue of stuff. I know there's also been some bouldering and some rock climbing. I think a couple folks went to Vital, or they engaged in that with their mentee. There's been also like hiking just around Whatcom County, like on the interurban parts of the interurban trail. And then on campus too is like a really popular place. And part of that is, you know, what if there's a time conflict, or what if like a mentee is really busy and they're like, I can't even like commit my mind to, I can't be in this space where like I'm thinking I'm gonna go out and do whatever this thing is off campus. I know some folks have studied together as like mentor-mentee time. There's times where the program is built off of nature-based experiences, but you also just have to think about time schedules and like what responsibilities people have and what does their week to week look like and feel like.
Why did you choose to be in this program?
I think like an initial reason of why I chose to be involved was because like as soon as I saw it, I saw this announcement of outdoor wellness program through the Psychology Canvas page, and I was planning on majoring in psychology, and I'm a double major, so like I have that psych major, and then I'm a Fairhaven student, so I have my concentration, and I was like, this is perfect for like what my concentration is as like nature therapy and writing and like therapeutic rec. And I've been involved with the outdoors pretty heavily throughout my life, and I just like my upbringing itself too, in like a tiny town surrounded by mountains. Like every week you're going kayaking and journaling and camping and doing all these things, and like nature just becomes a part of you. and it's like this like really positive relationship that's just always there. It's always chugging. And I was just thinking like this would be really good for what I want to go into, but I also need to make more of an effort to get out in nature and make it a routine. So I remember I was a mentor last spring, and that was just, that was awesome. That was so many words that like I can't put into a paragraph and even a sentence. Like there's so many things that I've gained from it, and I'm still using them now. And I'm still using that skill set and whatever ideas that existed back then. It's like I'm just carrying them with me. But yeah, I remember the quarter was getting close to ending. I don't feel ready to leave this thing that I just like kind of stumbled across and was like, I found a little magic place kind of. And the professor of the course was like, hey, I might need a TA next year. I was like thinking, oh yeah, I want to do that, and I still want to be involved. I want to watch this program grow and develop and change, but also stay the same. I want to like meet new people and watch them like come into this space that's developing.
I had a different upbringing, I think, than you in a little way. I like didn't have a lot of connection to recreation and nature when I was growing up, and then I came to Washington and started working out at the outdoor center and had opportunities to take people on trips and got to see the transformative power of recreation and nature firsthand in students that I was leading. And I have done some work with the counseling center as a student, and then also have worked in wilderness therapy during my time at Western, and wanted to do a senior project that put the two together and that left a lasting impact on the campus and on the students here. And I think that there's a big need for more mental health resources across the world, across the states, and certainly on a college campus coming out of COVID. And so seeing that need and recognizing that not every student needs one-on-one individual therapy, and sometimes that's appropriate and that's needed, and sometimes people just need a friend and some connection and community. And so hence like the idea was born, and it moved really fast, and we started in the spring kind of fast and furious. And yeah, it brings me a lot of joy to get to see that it continues and to continue to advise it and support it, and to see folks like Cheyenne be a mentor and then step into a TA role, and then to see like past mentees in the program step up into being mentors in the future, and just that's this like continual cycle of people who see nature as this intrinsic piece of ourselves that's not different and not outside of us, and that it can have real mental health benefits.
What are the benefits of these sessions?
There's a lot. When like I talk about benefits, I don't promise like this will happen or your mood will be increased. I think there's just a lot of potential for your mood to be increased and to like have an elevated mood. Sometimes like depending on the person, I think it can help us get out of ruts or like just realize things that we haven't really realized before. And burnout is another one too I can think of that's just so common with college students, with just anyone really that's really busy, working really hard, has these classes or these responsibilities, and is just like exhausted and like deprived of something. So yeah, it can help a lot with that. And like even, I don't know, a lot of times I've heard like from people in the program, from their experience, from my experience, sometimes it can make you feel a little bit less sleepy and just feel more awake now that you're not looking at like your test paper or a calculator or a computer screen or a phone screen. And yeah, there's just a lot of that potential. Like it's not necessarily therapy. We're not trying to be therapists as mentors. We're just helping to expose other folks to what nature can offer, and that's pretty unique. Sometimes you might have someone that's like, when I go out and I like hike with this person, or when I go bird watching with this person, my mood might not change that much because I might be going through something really hard, but it just might relieve some symptoms or like something I'm feeling momentarily. But yeah, it just depends.
I think it's also important to think about that every body is different. Like at a physical level, each of our bodies are different when it comes to being in nature and exploring these spaces. And that from like the research that has come out and just what we know from that field is that time in nature helps with anxiety, helps with depression. It helps reduce the stress hormones that are circulating in your body after you had a big test or you got in a fight or like you're activated. And it helps like bring people down to a baseline, and recognizing that nature also has different meanings for different people based off of their histories and their backgrounds. And so I don't think we're saying that there's like one catch-all approach to what you get out of this program or what you get out of nature. It's a lot of your own personal journey and your own personal exploration, but there's baseline benefits of like reduction in anxiety, reduction in depression, feelings of loneliness, and just overall like reducing the stress hormones and chemicals that we know are in our bodies a lot as humans in this world, and coming back more to a baseline and like a recalibrated human.
How do students get access to all this information?
Right now, the best way for students to find us is to look on the Counseling Center website. And so if you just go into Google and type in WWU Outdoor Wellness Program, or WW Outdoor Wellness. Usually it's the first link that pops up, and it's also under the wellness resources in the Counseling Center, and that's a whole page on how to be a mentee and what the benefits are, how to be a mentor and what the class sequence is like and what the requirements are and what we ask for people coming into the program. And then it shares a little bit about the history and how this came to be and why we do what we do. And I think that's the best way for folks to get involved. There's also a page on the Outdoor Center. We also have an Instagram.
I'm pretty sure it's just www.outdoorwellness.
Yeah, so I think those Counseling Center website, Instagram are probably the best way to find out what we do.
And then are there any extra things you want to let students know?
I think just knowing that this is a resource that's here to support you. And so knowing that sometimes we all need a little bit of extra help, and sometimes having someone to go outside with is really impactful and important. And getting the practice of, I know for me sometimes it's hard to go outside when it's rainy and it's dark and it's really sad outside, and sometimes that's the times that we really need to go and be out in the woods and walk around, even if we don't want to, or it's hard for us in those moments. And so just knowing that this program is here to support you, and we are really excited to see students get involved with it in a lot of different avenues and angles.
Yeah, the program's here to support students, to really support anyone, and there's no one correct way to be engaged or get active with nature. You don't have to be this student or this person that has a lot of experience or has this idea that like I need to have this in order to participate in the program to better my mental health or to get outside or to get better at building boundaries or whatever that is. It's really free and it's really unique, and the purpose is just endless. It really is.
Perfect.
Sweet.
And now we can just